All right, welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're going exploring a book
Okay.
called Awakening to Source. It's by Meta SV,
Right.
and it's a journey to love, light, and abundance. That's the subtitle.
Get you.
And it's a fascinating book. It kind of dives into some pretty big concepts, like the idea that we're all like connected to this like infinite energy they call source, and how our world is kind of like this giant mirror, reflecting back
Oh, yeah.
parts of ourselves that we might not even realize are there.
Right.
And then it also gets into some more like practical techniques for
It's okay.
aligning with abundance. And I'm not talking just like money here, but just like in all areas of life, you
That's
know?
abundance is a hot topic. It's a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah. It's a really fascinating book. It really is. One of the things I found most interesting is that it kind of blends these like classic spiritual ideas about source
Mm-hmm.
with some more modern insights from
Well,
science,
cool.
especially like around energy and vibration. It's not just about faith. It's about understanding like how this all works.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Like, how does the book even define source?
Sure.
I mean, it's a word that gets thrown around a lot these days.
It does. Yeah.
But I mean, what are we really talking about here?
Well, it describes source as pure creative energy, like the wellspring of everything that exists.
Okay.
And this is where it gets kind of paradoxical.
Right.
It's both everything and nothing at the same time,
Whoa.
right? Kind of blows your mind when you really think about it.
Yeah.
We're all expressions of this source, like individual sparks of a single flame.
So, okay, if we're all connected to this source, then why do we feel so separate? Like, I get it intellectually, but emotionally, it doesn't always feel true. You know what I mean?
I know, it's a tricky one. That's where this idea of the illusion of separation comes in.
Okay.
The book argues that this sense of separation is actually necessary. Think about it. Without contrast, without experiencing individuality, we wouldn't have the opportunity to learn and grow.
Mm.
It's like Source is playing this giant game of hide and seek with itself, dividing into countless perspectives just to experience the richness of creation.
So it's not a bad thing to feel separate. It's just part of the game.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like each of us is like a facet on this giant diamond,
Mhm.
reflecting a unique part of the whole. But here's the catch. Our ego, that part of us that identifies with our individual thoughts and stories,
Mhm.
it can get a little too attached to the sense of separation.
Right.
It builds walls and tells us we're alone, which leads to, fear, lack, and all of those not so fun emotions.
Yeah, yeah. I've definitely experienced that, that feeling of being separate, not enough, disconnected. Like my ego's definitely played a role in that for sure.
Sure.
So how do we start to like break free from this illusion and reconnect with our true nature, that sense of oneness?
Well, the book offers some really practical advice. Like, one of the most powerful suggestions is to just start recognizing yourself in others. See that spark of source in everyone you meet, no matter how different they seem. It's a practice of really expanding our compassion.
That makes sense. But it's easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
What about those people who just like really push our buttons?
Oh, I know, right?
How are we supposed to see the source in them?
That's the real challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the book actually argues that those difficult people, those who trigger us the most, they're actually our greatest teachers.
Oh, wow.
They're holding up this mirror, reflecting back aspects of ourselves we might be resisting or denying. Maybe it's a pattern of judgment or a fear of vulnerability or something like that.
Whoa, that's a powerful way to look at it. So it's not about condoning their behavior, but rather using it as an opportunity for self-reflection.
Precisely. It's about asking ourselves, okay, what is this person mirroring back to me? What can I learn about myself from this interaction? It's not always easy, but it's incredibly transformative.
Okay, so we're starting to like chip away at this illusion of separation. But now I'm curious, what does it actually mean to like as an expression of source? How does that actually translate into our everyday lives?
That's where things get really exciting. This book, it isn't just about like understanding source intellectually.
Right.
It's about tapping into our power as creators.
Okay.
It argues that we're not just passive observers of reality.
Yeah.
We're active participants in shaping it. Every thought, every belief, and every emotion we have, it sends out this vibrational frequency that interacts with the universe.
Okay.
And it literally attracts experiences that match that frequency.
Hold on. Are we talking about like the law of attraction here.
Absolutely. But it goes deeper than just like think positive thoughts.
Yeah.
It really dives into the mechanics of how energy, frequency, and vibration actually work.
Okay.
It draws connections to modern science and even like the work of Nikola Tesla. You are literally like a transmitter, broadcasting your inner state outward. It's like, what station are you tuned to right now?
Okay, so we're all just walking around like sending out these invisible vibes that are shaping our reality.
Yeah,
That's a lot of responsibility.
it is. But it's also incredibly empowering. Once we understand this principle, we realize that we have the ability to change our lives
Okay.
by consciously shifting our frequency.
So if we want to like experience more love, more abundance, more joy, whatever it is,
Right.
we need to start vibrating at that frequency.
Exactly. The book breaks down this whole process of conscious creation into 4 key steps.
Right.
First, we need to clarify our intentions.
Okay.
Like, what do we truly desire? And the more specific we are, the better.
Makes sense.
Instead of just like vaguely wishing for more money, we got to get crystal clear
Okay.
about how much we want, what we'll do with it, how it will feel to have it.
Intention setting is a big theme in a lot of personal development books. I've noticed that. So what's the next step?
The second step is visualization, but with feeling. It's not just about like picturing what we want in our minds. It's about embodying the emotions of already having it.
Okay.
Feeling that joy, the gratitude, the freedom.
So it's like we're rehearsing for the reality we want, you know?
Yes.
We're getting ready for it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we set our intentions, we visualize with feeling. What's next?
All right, so the third step is taking inspired action.
Okay.
This is where a lot of people get tripped up.
Oh, yeah.
They think they have to like force things to happen. But this book, it emphasizes the importance of aligning with the flow of the universe. It's about taking actions that feel aligned with our goals, even if they seem small or insignificant.
So it's about being open to opportunities.
Yes.
Then trusting our intuition, right?
Absolutely. It's about paying attention to those synchronicities and like following the breadcrumbs the universe is laying out for us.
I love that. But what about those times when we're taking action and it feels like we're like hitting a wall? What about all those doubts and fears that creep in? They make us question everything.
That's totally natural.
Yeah.
That's where the fourth step comes in, releasing resistance.
Okay.
You see, the book acknowledges that doubts and fears are just a natural part of the process,
Right.
but it also provides tools for like transforming them. It's about recognizing those limiting beliefs,
Okay.
challenging them, and choosing to replace them with more empowering ones. Think of it like clearing out energetic clutter. Just making space for what we want to manifest.
So it's like this constant dance,
Yes.
between taking action and then surrendering to the flow.
Exactly. And it's not always easy, but it gets easier with practice, trust me. It's about remembering that we're not alone in this journey. We're always supported by Source, even when we doubt ourselves.
This is all so fascinating, but I'm wondering how surrender fits into the idea of conscious creation. Doesn't it seem contradictory?
Oh, I know what you mean.
Like, if we're creating our reality, how can we also surrender control?
Right. It seems like a conflict. But the book addresses that tension really beautifully. It explains that surrender is not about giving up on our dreams or becoming passive. It's about letting go of that need to control every little detail
Okay.
and trusting that the universe has our back. It's about recognizing that we're co-creators, working in partnership with something much greater than ourselves.
So it's about setting our intentions, taking aligned action, and then letting go of the outcome.
Yes.
Trusting that the universe will deliver in its own way, its own time.
Exactly. And, it's a practice for sure.
Yeah.
But when we can truly surrender, we open ourselves up to possibilities that we might never have imagined on our own.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. It takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
It really does. It allows us to relax into the journey, enjoy the ride, knowing we're always guided and supported.
Okay, this is all making sense, but I want to dig a little deeper into something that really caught my attention in this book. The idea that lack is an illusion. I mean, it's easy to look around and see, evidence of lack everywhere.
Right. And the book acknowledges that. It's not saying that we should ignore the challenges and inequalities that exist in the world, but it's inviting us to shift our perspective.
Yeah.
It argues that abundance is the universe's natural state. Like it operates on principles of expansion and overflow, not scarcity. The feeling of lack comes from our disconnect from source, that illusion of separation we were talking about earlier.
So even though it might feel like there's not enough to go around, that's not actually true.
According to the book, no. Abundance is all around us, just waiting to be tapped into. It's like we're surrounded by an ocean of abundance, but we're clinging to this leaky bucket.
I love that. That's a great analogy. So how do we start tapping into that limitless abundance?
Well, the book offers a number of practical suggestions. One of the most powerful is simply recognizing the abundance we already have. I know it might sound cliche,
Yeah.
but gratitude is key here. Taking the time to appreciate the good things in our lives, no matter how small they seem, it helps to shift our frequency from lack to abundance.
So instead of focusing on what we don't have, we need to appreciate what we do have.
Exactly. It's about retraining our minds to see the abundance that's already present in our lives. It could be the simple things like having a roof over our heads, food on our table, or loving relationships.
You know, I've heard that before, but sometimes it's hard to put into practice. How do we cultivate gratitude when we're feeling stressed or overwhelmed?
That's where a gratitude practice comes in.
Okay.
The book suggests making it a daily ritual, to write down 3 things you're grateful for. It could be anything big or small.
Okay, I can commit to that. It sounds simple enough,
It is.
but I can see how that could make a big difference.
It really can.
Yeah.
And here's the key. Don't just write down the words. Feel the emotion of gratitude as you're writing.
Okay.
Let it fill your heart and radiate outward. The more we focus on gratitude, the more abundance we attract.
I love that. Okay, so gratitude is one key to unlocking abundance. What else does the book suggest?
Another important step is reframing our limiting beliefs. Those negative thoughts that tell us we're not worthy, not capable, not deserving of abundance.
Yeah.
We need to become aware of those beliefs and consciously choose to replace them with more empowering ones.
It's like we're upgrading our internal software, right?
Exactly. And the book provides specific affirmations that can help with this process. For example, instead of thinking, I'll never be able to afford that,
Right.
you can affirm, money comes to me easily and effortlessly.
It's about changing our self-talk.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the more we repeat those affirmations, the more we start to believe them. And the more we align with the frequency of abundance.
This is all so empowering, but I'm wondering, how do we share these ideas with others, especially those who might be skeptical? Like I have some friends and family who, roll their eyes when I start talking about things like source and vibration.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. It can be tough. That's a great question and one that the book addresses directly. It emphasizes that sharing these truths is not about forcing anyone to awaken or overwhelming them with information.
Right.
It's more about planting seeds,
Okay.
letting them grow at their own pace.
So no lectures or soapboxes.
Definitely not. The book advocates for a much more gentle approach. It's about meeting people where they are, having compassionate conversations, and leading by example.
So more about showing, not telling.
Yeah, exactly. It's about embodying these principles in our own lives so that others are naturally drawn to our light. The book even offers tips for, teaching children about awareness, encouraging their natural curiosity, and introducing them to simple practices like gratitude.
I love that. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from understanding source and the illusion of separation to tapping into our power as creators and aligning with abundance. But one thing I'm still curious about is how this book addresses, the idea of chaos. Let's face it, the world can be a pretty crazy place. How can we find peace amidst all the uncertainty and turmoil?
That's such an important question and one that the book explores in depth. It argues that chaos is an inevitable part of life. It's just our relationship to it that determines its impact. It uses a powerful metaphor. Your true self is like the eye of the storm,
Okay.
calm amidst the swirling winds of life.
I love that image. But how do we actually get to that calm center? How do we find that inner peace when everything around us feels like it's falling apart?
Well, the book offers a range of practical tools and techniques. Things like grounding techniques, pausing before reacting, daily meditation, decluttering our environment, and even taking digital detoxes.
Those all sound incredibly helpful. It's like we're building a toolkit for navigating those inevitable storms of life.
Exactly. And the book emphasizes that finding peace is not about avoiding challenges or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about cultivating an inner resilience, That allows us to weather the storms with grace and equanimity.
This is all so inspiring, but before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have to ask, what about the idea of building a legacy? Doesn't that seem a little grand in the context of all this talk about source and abundance?
I thought the same thing when I first started reading the book, but it reframes the traditional definition of legacy. It's not just about what we leave behind materially.
Okay.
It's about the energy we bring to the world and the ripple effect it creates.
So it's about making a positive impact.
Exactly. And the book emphasizes that building a legacy starts now, not in the future.
Right now.
It's about living authentically, contributing to the well-being of others, and being consistent in our actions. It's about sharing our light in whatever ways feel aligned with our soul's purpose.
This is all making me think about how I want to show up in the world, you know? What kind of energy do I want to contribute?
Yeah.
It's really thought-provoking.
It is. And the book reminds us that we all have this unique legacy to create. It's not about comparing ourselves to others or trying to fit into some like predefined mold. It's about embracing our individuality and sharing our gifts with the world.
I love that. Well, that seems like a great place to pause for now.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground in this first part of our deep dive into awakening to source.
We have, but we're only just getting started. In part 2, we'll explore even more fascinating concepts and practices from the book, including the importance of energy, frequency, and vibration, and how to create a reality that reflects your highest vision.
So be sure to join us next time for part 2.
Welcome back to our deep dive into awakening to source. When we left off, we were talking about the power of gratitude and the importance of shifting our mindset from lack to abundance.
Right. It's all so fascinating, and I'm eager to explore those ideas even further. You mentioned that the book ties the concept of source to energy, frequency, and vibration.
Yeah,
I have to admit that's a part that always kind of trips me up.
I understand.
Can you break it down for me a little bit?
Sure.
What's the connection there?
Absolutely. Awakening to source suggests that everything in the universe, including us, is made up of energy vibrating at different frequencies.
Okay.
Think of it like a giant symphony,
Right.
with every atom, every thought, every emotion playing its own unique note.
Okay, I can kind of picture that. So our thoughts and emotions have a frequency, like they're literally sending out vibes.
Yes, and those vibes are interacting with the energy field around us, influencing the experiences we attract into our lives.
Mm.
It goes back to that radio transmitter analogy we talked about earlier. Are you tuned into a station of joy and abundance, or one of fear and scarcity?
Okay, that makes sense. So if we want to change our experiences, we need to change our frequency. But how do we actually do that? It seems kind of abstract.
It might seem abstract, but it's actually quite practical. The book dives deep into the science behind this,
Oh, cool.
drawing upon the wisdom of Nikola Tesla and the principles of quantum physics. Essentially, it suggests that we can raise our vibration by cultivating positive emotions and releasing negative ones.
So you're saying that if I'm feeling happy and grateful, I'm literally vibrating at a higher frequency and attracting more positive experiences into my life.
Exactly. Think about it. When you're around someone who's genuinely joyful, don't you feel your own mood lift?
Yeah.
It's like their positive energy is contagious.
Right.
And the same principle applies to our own internal state. When we cultivate feelings of love, joy, gratitude, peace, we radiate a higher frequency, which attracts more of those experiences back to us.
Okay, that's starting to click for me.
What?
But what about those times when it feels impossible to be positive? Like when life throws us a curveball and all we can feel is sadness or anger or frustration.
That's completely understandable.
Yeah.
The book acknowledges that contrast is a natural part of life. We're meant to experience a full range of emotions. The key is to remember that we are not our emotions. We have the power to observe them, to choose how we respond to them, and to consciously shift our energy.
So it's not about denying our negative emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about learning to navigate them in a healthy way.
Exactly. It's about recognizing those negative emotions, allowing ourselves to feel them fully but not getting stuck in them. It's about using those challenging moments as opportunities for growth and transformation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But how do we actually shift our energy when we're feeling down? Do you have any tips or practices from the book that you found helpful?
The book highlights several powerful tools for raising our vibration. Meditation is a great way to calm the mind and connect with our inner peace. Breathwork can help us release stagnant energy and shift our emotional state. Spending time in nature is incredibly grounding and rejuvenating. And of course, as we've already discussed, gratitude is a powerful magnet for abundance and positive energy.
I'm a big fan of all those things. It's like we're creating a space for positive energy to flow into our lives.
Precisely. It's about intentionally cultivating those thoughts, feelings, and actions that align with the frequency of what we want to experience.
This all ties back to the idea of conscious creation, right? The idea that we have a role to play in shaping our reality.
Yes.
But I have to admit, sometimes it feels a little overwhelming. Like, if we're responsible for creating our reality, what happens when things don't go as planned? Does that mean we're doing something wrong?
That's a question that comes up a lot, and the book offers a really reassuring perspective. It reminds us that contrast is a natural part of life.
Okay.
It's through the ups and downs, the challenges and triumphs, that we grow and evolve. The key is to remember that we are not our circumstances. We are eternal beings connected to Source.
Right.
And no matter what happens in the external world, our true nature remains untouched.
Okay, that's a comforting thought. It takes the pressure off a bit. But it still seems like there's this delicate balance here between taking responsibility for our energy and accepting the things we can't control.
You've hit the nail on the head. And the book explores that balance beautifully.
Good.
It talks about the importance of finding that sweet spot between action and surrender. It's about understanding that we have the power to shape our reality in partnership with Source.
Okay, so we're not just puppets in some cosmic play. We actually have a say in how things unfold.
Absolutely. We are co-creators with the universe, not passive bystanders. But it's not always about forcing things to happen or trying to control every detail. It's about aligning with the flow of life, setting clear intentions, taking inspired action, and then trusting that the universe has our back.
I love that. But how do we know we're making the right choices? How do we know we're aligned with Source or with our highest good?
That's where intuition comes in. The book describes intuition as the voice of Source within us, that inner knowing that guides us toward what's truly aligned with our soul's purpose.
Okay. But sometimes it's hard to distinguish intuition from just our own thoughts and desires. How do we know we're not just following our ego's agenda?
That's the practice. The book offers tips for strengthening our intuition. Things like spending time in stillness, quieting the mind, learning to listen to the subtle whispers of our inner voice.
Okay.
It might come through as a feeling, a knowing, an image, or even a physical sensation. The key is to pay attention and to trust those nudges.
So it's about learning to tune in to our internal compass, that inner guidance system that's always available to us.
Exactly. And the more we practice listening to our intuition, the stronger it becomes. It's like a muscle that we can develop with consistent use.
This is also empowering. But what happens when things don't go as planned? How do we deal with disappointment or setbacks?
That's where the concept of surrender becomes even more crucial.
Okay.
The book emphasizes that surrender is not about giving up on our dreams.
Hmm.
It's about letting go of the need to control every detail of how they manifest.
Right.
It's about trusting that the universe has a bigger plan, that everything is happening for our highest good, even if we can't see it at the moment.
So it's about having faith, even when it's hard.
Yes. It's about remembering that delays are not denials. Sometimes what we perceive as a setback is actually a redirection, guiding us towards something even better than we could have imagined.
Okay, I'm starting to feel more at peace just thinking about it, but I have to ask, how does the book address the idea of teaching these concepts to others? It seems like a lot to grasp, especially for someone who's just starting to explore these ideas.
That's a great question, and one that the book handles with a lot of sensitivity. It emphasizes that sharing these truths is not about forcing anyone to awaken or overwhelming them with information.
Okay.
It's more about planting seeds and letting them grow at their own pace.
So it's about meeting people where they are and respecting their journey.
Exactly. The book suggests sharing our own experiences authentically, asking thought-provoking questions, and leading by example. It's about embodying these principles in our own lives so that others are naturally drawn to our light.
It's about being the change we want to see in the world, right?
Precisely. And the book even offers specific guidance on how to introduce these concepts to children, encouraging their natural curiosity and introducing them to simple practices like gratitude.
Okay, that's really helpful. But let's be real. Life can get pretty chaotic and demanding.
Right.
How do we maintain this connection to Source amidst the busyness of everyday life?
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind and lose sight of the bigger picture.
You're so right about that. It's easy to get swept away by the current of daily life. That's why the book emphasizes the importance of creating a spiritual practice that works for you.
Okay, so what does that look like?
It's different for everyone. The book provides a wide range of tools and practices to choose from.
Okay.
Things like meditation, breathwork, journaling, Gratitude practices, visualization, affirmations, movement, connecting with nature, and creating rituals.
Wow, that's a lot of options. How do we know where to start?
The key is to experiment and find what resonates with you,
Okay.
what feels good, what brings you joy, what helps you feel more connected to source.
So there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Exactly. It's about finding a practice that nourishes your soul and helps you stay aligned with your true nature. And it doesn't have to be complicated.
Right.
Even 5 minutes of meditation or a short gratitude practice can make a huge difference.
Okay, I love that. It's about finding what works for us and making it a part of our daily routine.
Yes. It's about creating a life that supports our spiritual growth and helps us stay connected to Source, even amidst the ups and downs of everyday life.
This is all so inspiring. I'm feeling really motivated to deepen my own spiritual practice.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's a journey for sure, but it's a beautiful one.
I agree. Well, I think this is a good place to pause for now.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground in the second part of our deep dive into awakening to Source.
We have. But there's still more to explore. In part 3, we'll be unpacking even more fascinating concepts from the book, including specific tips for manifesting abundance in all areas of life and the importance of trusting the process.
Stay tuned for part 3. Welcome back to the deep dive. We're wrapping up our exploration of awakening to Source. In the last 2 parts, we covered a lot of ground. From the nature of Source and the illusion of separation, to the power of conscious creation and aligning with abundance. I feel like my mind has been blown wide open.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible book, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really challenges us to rethink our assumptions.
Absolutely. And I know our listeners are eager to apply these concepts to their own lives. So in this final part, I'm really excited to delve into some of the most practical and empowering aspects of the book. Where should we begin?
Well, let's start with something that's probably top of mind for a lot of people. Manifesting abundance. I know it's a topic that can sometimes feel a little woo-woo.
Right.
But Awakening to Source approaches it in a really grounded and practical way.
Yeah, I think we all want more abundance in our lives, right?
Yeah.
But it's not always clear how to make that happen.
Exactly. And Awakening to Source reminds us that abundance is about so much more than just money. It encompasses all aspects of our well-being. Love, health, purpose, creativity, fulfilling relationships, and yes, even financial prosperity.
So it's about abundance in all areas of life, not just material wealth.
Yes, it's about recognizing that we are already surrounded by abundance, but we might be blocking it with our limiting beliefs and negative energy.
Okay, so how do we shift that? How do we actually start manifesting abundance in all these different areas?
The book emphasizes that it's less about following a rigid formula and more about aligning with the frequency of abundance. Remember that radio transmitter analogy we talked about earlier? What station are you tuned into? What kind of energy are you broadcasting out into the world?
Right, right. It's about raising our vibration, cultivating those positive emotions that attract more good stuff into our lives.
Exactly. And the book highlights a few key points for manifesting abundance that I found really helpful. First, it's about recognizing and appreciating the abundance we already have. It might sound simple, but it's a powerful shift in perspective.
It's about focusing on what we do have rather than what we don't, right?
And that's where gratitude comes in. Instead of dwelling on what's missing, take some time each day to appreciate all the good things in your life, no matter how small they may seem. That simple act of appreciation can really shift your energy and open you up to receiving more abundance.
You know, I've tried gratitude practices before, and sometimes they feel a little forced, like I'm just going through the motions. Do you have any tips for making it feel more authentic?
I hear you. It's not about just rattling off a list of things you're supposed to be grateful for. It's about really feeling the emotion of gratitude.
Okay.
When you're writing in your gratitude journal or just thinking about things you're thankful for, pause for a moment and savor that feeling. Let it fill your heart.
Okay, I can try that. What else does the book suggest?
Another important step is to become aware of any limiting beliefs that might be blocking abundance in your life. For example, if you grew up believing that money is scarce or that you have to work really hard to be successful, those beliefs might be holding you back from experiencing financial abundance.
It's like those beliefs are creating an invisible ceiling.
Exactly. And often we're not even aware of these limiting beliefs. They're like programs running in the background of our minds. So the first step is to become aware of them. Notice the negative thoughts that pop up around money, relationships, success, or whatever area you're struggling with.
Okay, so once we've identified those limiting beliefs, how do we get rid of them?
That's where the practice of reframing comes in. It's about consciously choosing to replace those negative thoughts with more empowering ones. The book provides a lot of helpful affirmations to support this process, such as, I am worthy of abundance, or money flows to me easily and effortlessly.
So it's like we're rewiring our brains for abundance.
Exactly. And the more you repeat those affirmations, the more you start to believe them. It might feel silly at first, but it really works.
Okay, I'm willing to try anything at this point. What else does the book recommend for manifesting abundance?
Another powerful technique is to act as if you already have the abundance you desire. This might sound counterintuitive, but it's about aligning your actions with your intentions.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you want to manifest more financial abundance. Instead of constantly worrying about money or pinching pennies, start treating money with respect and gratitude, even if you don't have a lot of it right now.
So it's about shifting our energy around money, even if our current circumstances haven't caught up yet.
Yes, it's about sending a clear signal to the universe that you're ready to receive abundance. It's like you're saying, I trust that abundance is on its way, and I'm preparing myself to receive it with open arms.
I love that. It's about taking action from a place of faith rather than fear.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And that leads us to one of the most important themes in Awakening to Source, the power of trusting the process.
Okay, tell me more about that. It sounds like it's easier said than done.
It is. But the book explains that trusting the process is about surrendering control and having faith that everything is unfolding as it should, even when things don't make sense or we encounter delays.
So it's about letting go of the need to, like, micromanage every detail of our lives?
Yes, it's about recognizing that we are co-creating with the universe. And sometimes the universe has a different timeline than we do. It's about trusting that everything is happening for our highest good, even if we can't see it at the moment.
I imagine that takes a lot of faith, especially when things feel challenging or uncertain.
It does, and the book acknowledges that. It doesn't sugarcoat the fact that life can be difficult, but it also reminds us that we are never truly alone. We are always connected to Source, and Source is always working for our highest good, even when we doubt it.
Okay, so it's about surrendering to something bigger than ourselves, trusting that we are guided and supported even when things get messy.
Beautifully put. And it's a practice, for sure. It's not about achieving some perfect state of unwavering faith. It's about showing up each day and choosing to trust, even when it's hard.
So what are some practical things we can do to cultivate trust, especially when we're feeling anxious or uncertain?
The book offers several strategies. One is to connect with your intuition, that inner voice that knows what's best for you. Another is to pay attention to the synchronicities and signs that appear in your life. They're often messages from the universe, guiding you toward your highest path.
It's like the universe is always leaving us little clues if we just learn to pay attention.
Exactly. And another powerful practice is to remember that delays are not denials. Just because something isn't happening on your timeline doesn't mean it's not going to happen at all.
I love that. It's so easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned.
I know, but sometimes those delays are actually blessings in disguise. They might be giving you time to prepare, to learn a valuable lesson, or to align with a better opportunity.
So it's about trusting that the universe has our back, even when it doesn't feel like it.
Yes. And when we can surrender to that bigger picture, we open ourselves up to receiving miracles.
Okay, this is all making me feel a lot more hopeful and optimistic. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what is your biggest takeaway from this book? What message has really stuck with you?
That's a great question. For me, the most profound message is that awakening is a journey, not a destination. It's not about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment. It's about showing up each day with intention and choosing to align with love, light, and abundance in whatever ways feel authentic to you. It's about remembering that we are all works in progress, and that's okay.
I love that. It's so reassuring. It takes the pressure off of striving for perfection and allows us to embrace the beauty of the journey.
Exactly. And it reminds us that we all have the power to create a life that is filled with joy, purpose, and meaning.
This has been such a rich and insightful conversation. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what this book has to offer.
I agree. Awakening to Source is a true gift, and I encourage everyone listening to explore it further if these concepts resonate with you.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Awakening to Source. I want to thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration, and a huge thank you to you for sharing your wisdom and insights.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope this deep dive has sparked some new insights and inspired you to tap into your own limitless potential. Remember, the power to create the life you desire lies within you. As always, keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.